morning. Welcome back to the primary live stream live lessons. I hope everyone is well. I hope you can hear me. I'm sure people will let me know if you can't. And I am just going to move myself because I want to be there. That's not ideal. Not the best way to do things. But hopefully everyone's well. And you have all had a nice relaxing weekend. My wife and I went for a lovely trip yesterday to a place called Spare Room, where we were able to experience all the differences of like a different room. It was like being in a hotel. So yeah, that's what we're doing, exploring different parts of the house. I'm looking forward to next weekend where we're going to explore cupboard under the stairs. So that should be really good and really interesting. Today we're going to be talking about tallying and frequency tables. It is so nice to see so many people here. Hello to you all. I won't have time to speak to everyone, but I will try and interact with a few people from the live stream at some point. So what are we going to be talking about? Well, the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to start off with a few questions from last week. Last week we talked about tens, hundreds and thousands. 5 questions. I'm going to give you about 30 seconds to have a go and see if you can write down all of these answers. Hopefully some of you've all got pens, pencils and something to write down. Have a go at these questions. See what you get. Good morning to Ellis. Good morning to Julia. Good morning to Kath. Good morning to Roshan, I believe it was. Good morning, The Kids Movies 2013. Good morning to everyone. I hope you all enjoyed Joe Wicks this morning. If you did get up and do PE with him, and you're all suitably exhausted and ready to do some maths. Now you can always, if you need a bit longer, you are always allowed to pause this, but these are the answers we should have got. That last one was there to try you out. Basically, when you times by 0.1, it's the same as dividing by 10. It's a way you can actually times by a number and make it smaller. So 800 times by 0.1 makes the number smaller. So we're today going to be talking about frequency tables and tallying. We're going to be looking at ways that people do it wrong, and I'm going to try and make it so that we can fix it and make it so that everyone does it right. And you can see some lovely work from last week, Flair from Lucas, and I was really impressed with that work. What I'd love, if the more people who send me pictures of their work and things like that, I'd love to have little galleries and little displays up on the website and also on the videos themselves of different people's work, because it makes me feel so happy that people are enjoying what we're doing. So, tallying. Tallying, I would suggest, in every class I teach of year 7, 8, 9, even some year 11s, I would suggest tallying is done incorrectly, probably by maybe even half of the students I teach. Tallying is not counting. It's often done as counting, but tallying should be done a certain way, which I'm going to go through today. And lots of people do it like counting, which is not how it's supposed to work. Now you can see on the picture on my right is a picture of all these sheep, which we could tally and find a way of making sure we've got them all. In fact, after we've done that, we probably want to draw a bar chart. I'm not apologising for that. Okay, so what are we going to be talking about? We are going to look at some dice that I've got. I have collected some dice. And I have got only a small group of dice, so I could count them. But I wanted to use them to help us with tallying. And what we're going to do is I'm going to show you live exactly how. So you can see I've got all sorts of different coloured dice in here. And that's, I don't know the best way to show you my hand there, but hopefully you can see I've got lots of different colours of dice there. We're going to use these for tallying, but tallying is not counting. And in order to do so, I am going to talk to you about how to make a frequency table. So very, very quickly, let's whiz over. Oh wow, I've just noticed this is the first time we've had a lesson. We've got over 100 people, so thank you all for joining. I really hope that you're enjoying this and learning something. We're going to quickly look at a frequency table. It looks like this. We've got this frequency table. We have to go down and work out the purples, whites, reds, yellows and greens. And we're going to make tallies. And so tallies are going to be lines, 4 lines, and then a gate line going across. Now, if you're year 5 and 6, you probably already know this, but I bet lots of you will still tally wrong. And hopefully I will show you why people do it wrong. So we're going to whiz across, while we're doing this, to a different place. And hopefully you've all joined me. And we are all now going to be using my writing pad to be able to tally this work. So, to do so, I'm going to need a pen. So I'm going to get my pen. And I'm going to first of all take a dice at random. Now the dice I take out is a green one. Therefore, if I take a green one, I am going to need to record it as a tally in the green section. So I put a line in the green. Notice I'm not adding up all the greens. If I count all the greens, I can tell you that there are 4. There's no point tallying if you add them all together. And that's what I was talking about. Some people do it wrong. If I'm going to add them all together, I just write 4 in the frequency. Tallying is where we do it one at a time. And what I've done is I've taken the dice out. So I took my dice out of the tray and moved it to the side because it's done. If this was written data, I'd cross it out because you don't want to count it a second time. So I want to make sure that I only do the data here. Now this is really good for when I've got huge amounts of data to sort through. For imagine I'm counting lots of things. And I'm going to set you a challenge for later on for you to to tally some data where counting them you could do it, but tallying is the most accurate. So let's get rid of me again and quickly carry on. I'm going to take a dice at random. This one's white, so I go to the white one and I tally it. I take a next one and it's purple. Purple one and tally it. White one, and you'll see each one I'm just taking a random one out, taking it out of my tray. Red one now. A white one. Another white one, which means because I've got 4 tallies, we need to, if you ever have 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th one goes across there. So I'm going to put a gate on my white one. Another red one. Another yellow. Now hopefully if you're year 5s and 6, you can see, if we were just counting them, we'd just have numbers. We wouldn't need these tally marks. These tally marks are because we're doing one at a time. Yellow. 1 tally. Now the good thing about this, especially if you're in a class, I often find when I was at school, I used to get distracted by people talking around me. I'd never talk, obviously. I'd get distracted by people talking around me. So I'd be working away, doing my counting, my tallying, and someone would go, Paul, because that's my name, Paul, what are you doing at break time? And then I'd forget what numbers I was at. So I was like, oh, I forgot my numbers. It's a bit like those annoying people who say when you're counting, go 4, 7, 11, 42, 63, and you go, I can't remember. The thing is with tallying, I've stopped. I've talked to you and told you a little story. But when we go back to it, I know I'm exactly where I am. I can't get lost with tallying, and that's one of the good things. You can stop at any point, because if you're doing written ones, you'd cross them out. And if you're doing a table like this, where I'm taking the dice out, I know exactly where I'm up to. So now I can get myself to go away again, take a green one out, finish it off, do another green one, do another red one, do another red one, another white one, so we start a new one, a purple one, and a red one. And that is all of the dice. Now this is not, we wouldn't normally even need tally charts for this size of data, but it's useful to have it. Because we can now say the frequency, and frequencies are numbers, it's the total. Now when you're counting, remember each of these is worth 5. So that's 5 and 1 more is 6. And then we've got 5 here, 2 here, and 3 here. And I think it's quite good to write total and get a total of all of these. And I think that must be 5, 10, 18 dice in total. Now you can notice, tallying is often best used for data when there's hundreds of dice or hundreds of bits of data. We're just doing 18 for now. So we're just using it to show us how it works. So, what we're then going to do is we're going to check our tray and go, oh no, I'd left 2 dice in there. We don't worry. What we do is we go, well, there's a yellow one still in there, take it out, and a green one was still there, so I take it out. I then just have to adjust that, and that's now 4, adjust that, and just make that 3. Do you notice how when I make a mistake, I don't panic. I don't go, oh, it's a mistake. We all make mistakes. And so that's why it's okay just to neatly cross out what you're doing and write the new one. But I've also changed the total. I think there's now 20. So I'm going to change that on my diagram. And the good thing about frequency charts is what we can use them for. What we're going to then use is we're going to draw a line down here. We're going to draw a line across the bottom. I'm going to draw a second line. I will draw a second line. It will let me. And we're going to draw a bar chart. Now, to draw a bar chart of our data, we have to learn one very important thing about bar charts. Bar charts, for data like colours, should have gaps in between it. So the first thing I do when I'm drawing a bar chart is I look at all these numbers here and I say, well, what numbers do I have the possibility of using? I've got 2, 6, 5, 3 and 4. So 6 is what it needs to go up to. So I'm going to go a notch at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm going to put some numbers. I know I won't need to go higher than that. And I will call that line the frequency. Frequency always goes up the side. I've also got colours. And they are, and I sometimes write these sideways because it allows me to see exactly what's going on. So if I write purple and then I write white and then red and yellow and finally green, I can then make my bars the right height. But remember, for a bar chart, they need a gap between them. Lots of people forget the gaps. This red one goes up 5. They've got quite close together. Maybe they're just best of friends and they're just leaning on each other. This one's 3 and green is 4. And you can colour those in if you want to as well. I like to use a thing called hash shading, which is, when I haven't got colours, still makes it look nice. Okay, so this graph goes with this frequency table. So I've got my frequency table, the colour of the dice, I filled it all in, and I used it to make a graph. Hopefully you can see exactly what I did. And we can then go straight back to here and see this was the dice that we had. And you can see that is exactly what we've counted, and it produces the right results. But you could have just counted these, but if you were going to do that, you wouldn't bother tallying. Another good reason for tallying is that as follows. Imagine I was trapped underground in a cave and all I had was some water and some bread I kept in my backpack. And I couldn't tell, because I was underground, whether it was night or day. So I had to listen out, and I wanted to know how long I'd been under there. This is the second time you might use tallying. Every time things happen, you might put a tally mark, because then you don't have to remember what number you're up to. If I was like, oh, I'm 33. Oh, there's that big bang again. 34. 34. Was it 33? 33. I was 33 earlier. It's very difficult to remember, especially if you don't want to write down 33, cross it out, write down 34. That's another reason tallying can be useful if you're counting one thing, but over a long period of time. Because if you don't, you might struggle. You might struggle to be able to know what things to do. So here is my challenge for you. My success challenge. What I really want you to do is use your worksheets that are available here, and I want you to create a tally chart and a graph for your sock drawer. Maybe you'll do a second one for mum or dad or whoever looks after you sock drawer. That's up to them whether they'll let you. But you're tallying white or black, plain, stripy, and tights. You can even make other columns as well. I've made it so your tally chart has spaces you can write in. For example, if you wanted to put football socks, or if you wanted to put pictures of animals, or something that you know you've got lots of, or cartoons, anything that you know you've got lots of, now do it as pairs of socks. Otherwise, every time you come across a sock, he'll have a pair, and you'll tally 2. And you'll have all the numbers will go up in 2s. Once you've done that, there's space below to draw your own bar chart of that information. So you can tally all your socks from the sock drawer, and then you can complete the frequency by adding up all your tallies. The next thing you can do is there's some questions on tallying fruit. And remember, feel free to ask me if anything is not making sense. So here, if I move myself out the way, is your table that you're going to be working with. So you can see all the different categories and you can write down whatever categories you want. Remember, I love seeing photos of your work. I love seeing any time we're on the Facebook group, people are posting different things that they've done, the homeworks. I saw some people playing Yahtzee over the weekend and it made me feel so happy. I'm happy to engage and answer any questions. You've got the comments below that parents or yourselves can ask questions in, and I hope that this lesson has taught you a bit about using tally charts properly, especially year 5s and 6s, because I know some of my GCSE students have to still get reminded that you don't just count everything, you have to cross things off. But what if it wasn't a real thing like a dice? What if I just had some letters or numbers? Well, that's what the second thing is. We'll change colour, and I reckon I fancy red for this bit. What if we're counting letters? Now, I am going to write down some results. So we could have win, lose, lose, draw. Win, draw, win, draw. Lose, lose, win, draw. Lose, win, win, draw. Lose, lose, lose. Win, draw, win, draw. Lose, lose, win, win. This is a bit like my football team, Watford. Not many wins, but maybe a couple. So we first of all have to draw our frequency table. So we've got win, lose, or draw will be our first column. And then we'll have our tally. And finally our frequency. And remember, the things that can happen is we can win, we can lose, or we can draw. So when we record, we don't count the W's. We go cross a W off, give it a tally. Cross an L off, give it a tally. Cross an L off, give it a tally. Cross a D off, give it a tally. Cross a W off, and we keep doing this for all of the results. You don't, because then if I get to, the phone's ringing, oh, yeah, no, I can't come and help you at the moment, Mrs. Harris. I've got a live stream I'm doing. No, I know you want me to put the shopping away. I know you're 34 weeks pregnant. I'll be down in a minute. So now my phone call's over. I come back. Okay. And then across it off again. And across it off again. And across it off again. We're getting there. And remember, when I get to 5s, I have to start a new set. So we're getting nearly there. I know it's not the most exciting thing to watch, but I wanted to make sure we all understand that this is proper tallying. If you tally by counting, you might as well not do the tallies. Just write the totals. If you count them, there's no need for the tallies. It doesn't do anything. And we would then be able to say 10, 10, 7. And we can get a total of 27, because I like to always put the totals. So, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully that's been interesting to you. I have done my best today to try and give you an understanding of tally charts and how we can make frequency tables from them and how we can make bar charts from them. Now it's your turn to go away and do some. I will hope that you've enjoyed the lesson today. I want you to do as much work as you can. Try the things. Ask me questions if you're stuck. Remember, I've got all the things that you can see. So if I just quickly come out here, I believe these are all the ways you can get in touch with me. And I'm still learning the live streaming. So if it appears, it appears. I have to wait about 8 or 9 seconds to see. So I just have to cover myself. I'm just talking. Nothing's happening right now. But hopefully things have appeared in front of me. I don't think they have. So it's just me right now. So in which case, I will go back to the slides and try and sort that out for next time. But there are various different ways you can get in touch with me. So that's always useful, of course, for anyone who wants to ask any questions. So your challenge is to complete the 2 frequency tables, draw a bar chart, and ask me any questions. I'd love to see your work. I'd love to see some lovely colourful bar charts, and I'd love to see photos of what you've been doing. Here is how you can get in touch with me. So thank you very much for joining me. I have been Mr. Harris. We have somehow already covered 25 minutes. Thank you, all the 100 people that were in here. I'm going to try and answer some of the questions in the live stream. So let's see. Hopefully, you've learned something. And is there someone saying there's some missing information? Rashan is saying something's information. There's the thing that didn't appear. Yeah, sorry about that. Thank you so much for joining me. All that's left for me to say is thank you very much, and I will see you tomorrow or later if you're staying for transition. This was the years 3 to 6. Years 5 through to 9 will be next. You guys are all awesome. I look forward to... Oh, didn't want to do that, did I? You guys are all awesome. I will see you soon.